Hello, welcome back. In case you don't remember, my name is Shay, and this is our lesson 3 for week 1 of the intermediate class for Inforum's warm-up. Okay? Now today we're going to learn about past simple tense and past continuous. So first, let's have a look at this table that shows us the different forms for past simple. Okay? Now the way that we form the past simple for most verbs is that we simply add ed to the base verb. For example, work becomes worked. Play becomes played. Okay? It's quite simple. Now, for some verbs in English, they don't fit this rule. There are some verbs that we can't add ed. They have a different past form. We call them irregular verbs. Okay? Some examples of irregular verbs would be here. Left. Okay? The present form is leave. We don't say leaved, we say left. Okay? Speak becomes spoke, not speaked. So it's important to remember the most common verbs that are irregular in English. There will be a list of them included in a PowerPoint in the Google Classroom, okay? So please do have a look at that after this video. Okay, so this is for the positive form. It's different depending on if we have a regular verb or irregular, okay? But how we form negatives basically is quite simple also. We just add didn't in front of the base verb, okay? So this is the same when we use when we use regular or irregular verbs, it's the same, okay? For negatives, just didn't plus the base verb. So didn't work, didn't play, didn't watch, okay? Didn't leave, didn't speak, didn't teach, okay? For questions, also the structure is the same. It doesn't really matter if it's a regular or irregular verb. We just use did plus the subject plus the verb, okay? Like, did you work yesterday, for example? Did you speak to the teacher after class? Okay? Did, subject, base verb. Okay, now that we know the form, let's look at the functions and the examples. So when we use the past simple, it's fairly basic. We use it for actions that are completed in the past. Actions that happen before now. Okay? For example, I went to the beach yesterday. I sunbathed and walked on the sand. Okay? I didn't like the movie we watched last night. Notice here, when we use didn't, we don't need to make this a past tense verb. Didn't tells us that it's in the past. Don't do this. Don't say, I didn't like the movie. This is wrong. I didn't like the movie. Okay? Did you enjoy the class? Not, did you enjoyed the class? Okay? Don't do this. Now you'll also notice that when we use past simple, we usually say when the action happened. Okay? Now in this example, I went to the beach yesterday. Okay? I didn't like the movie we watched last night. Okay, we do usually need to use the time with past simple. We say when it happened. Now the only reason we might not do this is if the context makes it clear. See this last example. Did you enjoy the class? Maybe I'm asking this question immediately after class, so it's already clear when I was talking about. Okay? That's it for past simple. So let's move on to past continuous. Now, past continuous, as you can see in this table, we form by using a be verb plus ing. Now we use the past form of the be verb. So we'll be using was or were plus ing. Okay? Now remember, with your subject, it's different for past continuous. So with the subjects I, he, she, and it, we use was plus ing. And for subjects you, we, and they, we use were plus ing. For the negative form, we simply add not, but we do normally do this with a contraction. Okay? So I can say, I was not, I wasn't. But wasn't is more common. You were not, you weren't. Okay? Now to form a question, we start with the be verb, followed by the subject, followed by ing. Was he working at the school when you met him, for example? Were you sleeping just now? Okay? Now, why do we use the past continuous? Here are the functions and some examples, so let's go through them together. Okay, now firstly, we use past continuous for actions that were in progress at a certain time in the past. They're not happening now, but they were at this time. Okay, for example, I was living in Australia in the year 2000. I was living in Germany during the war. Okay? We also use it to explain the background to a situation or story, and then we include main events, usually in the past simple. For example, I was working in an office when I met my wife. This is the background to the story, and this is the main event. Okay? Now, a more complicated way that we use past continuous is when we have two actions, okay, and one action actually interrupts the other. So, this example, I was walking home when it started to rain. That means that this action started first in the past and it was interrupted by this action. Okay? We were watching a movie when the phone rang. This action started first and it was interrupted by this action. Now, the last way that we use this is when we have two longer actions that happened at the same time. They were happening over a certain time in the past concurrently together, okay? So, for example, I was doing my homework while my mother was cooking dinner, okay? That means these two actions here were happening at the same time, like this, okay? And that's it for past simple and past continuous. So please take a minute to look at the PowerPoints and have a go at the activities on Google Classrooms. See you later.